I have Brent Weil, who is Senior VP of the Manufacturing Institute Education and Workforce Group, which is all part of the National Association of Manufacturers. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's an important work that we do, and important to be here in New Jersey as we've helped really impact where we're going to find skilled talent here in New Jersey.
I could tell you that a lot of my time is taken up reading Chad's emails that I get on Monday mornings. We were talking about the hiring skills for vets. Can you give us a little insight into your role in that?
Sure. At the Manufacturing Institute, we represent manufacturers really in how we're going to close the skills gap for manufacturing careers, which are really across the country that we see needs for technical workers. And meanwhile, there's thousands of veterans returning with the right kinds of skills. There's thousands, many thousands of veterans in our population that are really very appropriate to fill those kinds of skills. So we work to help manufacturers understand those talent, the skills and talents, and be able to translate that into civilian occupations. Help manufacturers really to connect to the kind of resources where they can locate veterans and give tools and resources that they can use to really make sure that they're doing everything they can to be open to veterans, to have a situation where vets can stay and grow within their company and really make that a source of talent that companies can really rely on.
So on this side of the coin, you are more involved with bringing this information to the manufacturer. And other people that we talked to tonight and NJIT, they're bringing the vets to the manufacturers. Is that basically correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We're an industry association, but we've developed very strong partnerships across the country, very strong partnerships here in New Jersey, focused on, for manufacturers really, what are the resources that we can count on for veterans, for youth, for women, because we can't leave anybody behind really as we fill these talent gaps that we know that are today, and we foresee, we picture going on for the foreseeable future.
Before we went on line here, you and I were talking about the skills gap and how many vacant jobs are there now and in the not too distant future. Can you give us insight into that?
I can, but it's not a pretty sight always for manufacturers to think about. As difficult as things are today, our study that we did recently with Deloitte looked at what are things going to look like between now and 2025, tell us that as hard as it is for people to find skilled workers today in manufacturing, we're projecting in that 10-year period that we're going to need to fill 3.4 million jobs. Of that, a lot of that, the majority of that, 2.7 million, is actually from retirees. So we have to fill these kinds of positions, but we only know where we're going to find 1.4 million of those. So we are projecting a 2 million shortage in skilled workers to fill our positions unless we act now to really make sure that we're doing everything we can to get the right programs in place, that we're open to veterans and everybody else that is really appropriate for those kinds of positions that we know we're going to need.
Several weeks ago, we were at the German house in Manhattan, which is part of the German embassy, and the evening event at that time was talking about how the Germans have the dual educational system, which seems to keep unemployment rather low in the 18 to 40-year range by about 75%. And it seems like their apprenticeship programs and dual education systems really is working. Do you see anything coming out of this here in the United States?
There's lots that we can learn about how other countries have put in place these kinds of dual models that allow people to earn and learn in ways that really build that pipeline of workers that are there. what we see here in the United States is there's a lot of things that we have that they don't have. We have a very flexible model. We have a system where people can learn in short time frames the kinds of skills they need, go and work for manufacturing, and then continue on in a pathway. Lots of different ways for people to enter and exit manufacturing careers. So we do see interest we do see real interest from manufacturers in apprenticeships, but those often are going to be flexible kind of competency-based apprenticeships, not necessarily the really long chains that people think of in that kind of a system that's there.
I think one of the most progressive projects or programs that I've seen in recent years is Manufacturing Day, which NAM is one of the original partner founders. Can you tell me a little bit about how that's working out? I know that all 50 states are now involved in this. This is going to be your fourth year event on October
7th.
October 7th. So why don't you tell us a little bit about it, because there's still a lot of people out there that really don't know anything about this.
Well, I know there's a lot of manufacturers that don't know about it, and we got to know about it because there's so many more young people and parents and teachers that don't know anything about manufacturing. And Manufacturing Day is designed to really change that around. It was started as the first Friday in October. Now, many places it's Manufacturing Week, Manufacturing Month. The idea being, let's really be working together as manufacturers. Open up for plant tours, open up for school visits. Use that day to really be out there, be proud of manufacturing, and let young people know about the great opportunities that are there. We know that only 1/3 of parents would recommend manufacturing for their child. When people are familiar with manufacturing, that doubles. And we know that young people and students, they choose their career choices based on what their experience has been. So let's all get out there. Let's register on mfgday.com. Register an event in the month of October when we'll be out there really changing that dynamic and bringing people into the four walls of our factory that they drive by every day. We're not just a blur on the turnpike. We actually are making things, have great jobs, and really have opportunities for people to come into manufacturing, and we need every young person to really understand that.
You took away a lot of my steam, because I was going to talk to you about parents that really need to be maybe more trained about this than their teenage children, because you're right, they don't know that manufacturing is no longer, in many cases, not dark, dirty, and dangerous, and the fact that your child won't build up $250,000 debt and then come home and live with you. So I think the educational system also has to educate parents to a great extent, as you just pointed out.
That's true. You stole my thunder this time. I couldn't have said it better myself. But absolutely, parents and teachers are all welcome in things like Manufacturing Day. And we see the Dream It, Do It program as a great way to educate young people and parents and teachers and others that are really influencing them about what kinds of great opportunities there are. I get it. I mean, parents want what's best for their child. They don't know either about what modern manufacturing is about, how diverse it is, how many different ways there are for people to build great careers in it, so a lot of times we need to speak to parents as well about what those opportunities really are.
On the past Manufacturing Day events, were there many parents that were involved in those events?
There absolutely were. Actually, thousands of parents around the country that took part in those kinds of activities, and we were able to do surveys actually of parents as well as teachers and students who went through Manufacturing Day, and we were able to track the perception that they had, and then following, they're saying they learned much more about manufacturing because of Manufacturing Day. They had much greater understanding about the kinds of careers because of that, be more likely to recommend it because of that. So it really does work. I mean, you wouldn't think one day can make a difference, and you know what? One day isn't everything, but it's a great start toward really being out there and telling people about the careers that we've got. Well,
I wish luck for the veterans and Manufacturing Day, and Thank you very much for your time, Brent, and say hello to our friends down at NAM.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.